Let's slip cast a pot. So here's my slip in a bucket. You just open the spout and no slip. Only I know the slip's this high, I just mix it up. Well, that's a problem. Hi, I'm Kent. Let's do an upgrade to my gravity-fed slip system. A while ago, I switched my slip over from using buckets and fishing the slip out into a system that's gravity-fed. So I keep my slip in these 5-gallon buckets. I go ahead and mix the slip up myself from dry powder, and then I would used to use a container like this to go in and open the lid, fish down, pull out the slip, and then pour it into my molds. However, when this is full of slip, it is really heavy. And fishing the slip out was rather messy and annoying. I had seen it in a few places, basically people using spigots to put it into their bucket and having the slip come out, and that seemed great. In fact, I liked it so much I went ahead and made a second one. This here is my normal casting slip, and this here is all reclaimed with some colorants in it. The other thing I did with my slip system here was this, which is a lift. On the end here, there's a spot for my drill, and basically this can raise and lower, and that means that I don't have to worry about getting the buckets at just the right height. I can move it up and down. I can lower it to mix the slip so I can reach the top easily, and then I can raise it up so I have space to put the molds. So I really like this, and the lift has been working great. I put a little board here so I can fit most of my buckets on here. And for quite a while it was working just fine. The slip would just come out and no issues. However, I had a break where I wasn't slip casting many pots, and when I went to go back, the slip wasn't coming out, just like I showed you. I was even being careful. I have this here full of water, and I was spraying in, trying to get the excess clay out while it was still liquid so it wouldn't build up. However, I think it's the spigots themselves that are a problem. I think this diameter is too small. These are little ball valves. So inside there's basically a sphere with a hole in the middle, and as you rotate the knob, that sphere turns with the hole so the slip can come out or it's closed off. And that hole, I think, in these is really small. When the handle is turned off, basically there's a little pocket of slip that gets caught in here, and I think that's solidifying over time. So this video we're going to do an upgrade to my spigots. I went looking around and I found this. This is a lot bigger. This is for a 1-inch or about 25 millimeter diameter. I think the old one was 1/2 inch or 3/4. And if you look inside, you can see the ball, and this is what turns. It's kind of stiff, but there the ball closes off. And there it opens up. That's not the full 1 inch, but it's probably a good 1/2 inch. So hopefully that'll be big enough that the slip doesn't get stuck. I actually anticipated this getting clogged as a problem, and I went and bought these bottle brushes so that I could basically open the spout and shove up in there. And that worked for a little while when the slip wasn't too stuck, but when it's really solidified, like it is now, even getting this in there is really tricky and doesn't really clean it out. So I think it helped, but it's not the solution. What I need to do next is empty the slip out of my current bucket. We'll take out the spigot. We will then drill the hole bigger so that we can put in the new spigot and try it out. Since the spout isn't working, I think I'm just going to have to dump the slip out of the top. Luckily this is only half full, so it's not too crazy heavy. What I think I'm going to do though is raise this the rest of the way up so I can just tilt it over. So for that I found a socket that fits onto the turn crank, and I have an adapter, and I just put that in my drill. Just like that. And my drill has a high and low setting. This really needs the low gear in order to lift all this weight up. So there's quite a bit of space here. Basically, I had set this table here off to the side. It's actually a shelving unit at the height so that I can lower this all the way down to the table, and it's basically flush, or raise it up and my biggest mold will fit. So I want to reuse this bucket. So I have an old bucket that I keep my reclaim slip in, and even if the spout were working, it doesn't quite fit. All right, so I'm just gonna try and dump the bucket over without it spilling everywhere. All right, there we go. That's pretty empty. Just scrape out some of the rest of this. All right, there we go. One mostly empty bucket, and one here off to the side that is about half full. So next is to take out the old spigot. This should just unscrew. There we go. So yeah, this is all full of clay. So there's a little bit of slip on it, but digging down deeper, it's definitely solidified. I can see dry clay. Yep, there's a plug of dry clay right there. All right, I don't plan on reusing this, but I'm gonna wash it out so we can compare the sizes of the holes. All right, there we go. I got it unplugged. I don't know if you can see in there, but there's actually still some clay that's stuck in there, so it was really stuck. So we compare the two. This one definitely has a bigger diameter. Hopefully that's large enough so the clay doesn't get stuck. If not, I may just need to be more careful about cycling clay through the spigot. I've heard this is one of the big downsides of actually having a slip table with a pump, is that cleaning the hose and the dispenser can be really, really annoying. I think you have to be able to use it basically every day for it to really make sense. And I'm slip casting very intermittently for sure. So we'll need a bigger hole for this. I think off camera, I'll go ahead and spend a few minutes to clean this up because we're going to be drilling a hole and we'll need to be able to clean out the plastic shavings really easily. All right, there we go, nice and cleaned out, or at least good enough. So next we need a hole big enough for the spout. And I don't want it any lower, so otherwise I don't think we'll be able to screw it on. And I originally drilled this with a step drill bit. Unfortunately, that won't work because I don't have one big enough. Let's first draw an outline where I want it. All right, somewhere around there. Oh yeah, this is working just fine. All right, we'll do it the manual way. All right, there we go, it fits. And that reverse threads. Spigot goes in like that. Spin it around. All right, then it opens and closes just like that. All right, I'm gonna go outside with a hose and some water to make sure it doesn't leak. It was a good thing I checked for leaks. The spigot was indeed leaking, and I wound up pulling out my silicone that I used to use to seal up my plaster molds. And I put a nice heavy bead all around the outside, and you probably can't see, but there's some on the inside as well. I then filled up my bucket with water again and let it sit for a while, and all the leaks have stopped. So hopefully it will now be slip tight as well. Next up is to move the slip back into this bucket. So to do that, the motorcycle stand and its adjustability will come into play. I could just heave this bucket up on top of this platform, but there's no need. I can just lower this down. All right, that's all the way down, so now I just have to pick it up a little bit. And that's all the way up. I really never need to bring it this high, but to put the slip back in will be useful. Since I need to put on the silicone, it's actually been a couple days since I had to let this cure. So the slip had firmed up again since it's thixotropic. So I just mixed it up so I can pour it back out easily. And we'll do the same thing. We'll just tip this over and aim for the bucket. And this bucket here, there's still a little bit of slip in here, but this is the bucket I use for my reclaim, so I'll just leave this in here to let it dry out, and we'll put more reclaim in here. Back down with the slip platform. Replace our bucket. And then back up, but we only need to go up as high as our mold. All right, let's try it out. Oh yeah, it's coming out way better. Perfect, that worked great. I think I'll still want to use my water and spray that out, but actually I can get in there much easier now. While we're here, let's go ahead and do a few more. Oh yeah, it's coming out way faster. Gotta make sure I don't overshoot. And one of my older molds, why not? And one more. I don't think you can see this, but there's a faint line here where I can tell the slip was up to here, and now it's down to here. So we're getting close to the level of the spout. And when it got low before, there wasn't much pressure, and it would come out slowly before as well. I think the bigger diameter is going to be useful for that as well. This handle's a little bit stiff. I think that's my only real complaint so far. All right, let's go ahead and spray this out. See if we can get most of the clay out. And we can go ahead and prepare the table for when we pour the slip out by bringing it all the way down. This way we don't need to lift our molds up as high when we dump them out. All right, now the slip just sits in the molds. For my molds and my slip, that's usually about 25 to 30 minutes. So we'll come back in a bit once the walls have formed and dump out the excess slip. To drain these, we just need to pick them up and put the slip in the bucket here. And then I have my homemade slip drainage table. I take these and just flip them over. I put them at an angle so I don't get stalactites forming from the bottom of the pot. And then these drain for about half an hour. I think this is a good upgrade. I really like my new slip setup where the jack stand goes up and down and takes the slip with it, so I don't need to pick up heavy buckets of slip. And the spigot to dispense the slip has been great, at least until it clogged. So I'm hoping this new larger spigot fixes that problem, and I look forward to slip casting many more pots. If I run into a problem with this spigot, I will definitely let you know in a future video. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. Thanks.